Now available for pre-order on Kindle. Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Pre-order your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace on Kindle today.
Yesterday, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio implemented a policy where he insisted that you would need a pass to go to a restaurant, a event, or to a gym. Now, when I take a critical examination of this policy, it just seems like something done out of emotion. Now, the first critical question I have to ask is, where is the city council? Because I thought that the mayor could not implement any sort of policy unilaterally without getting approval from the city council. So that right there is one critical question I have to ask regarding Bill de Blasio's arbitrary policy, because he's sitting there without the city council approving this and turning it into law. Now, in addition to asking a critical question about the city council, I also have to ask, how would the mayor be able to enforce such a policy? Now, the reason why I ask that question is because this whole policy he's putting into place puts the onus on business owners. And a lot of business owners right now are struggling here in New York City. And if you walk down the street like I have in Midtown Manhattan, you see a lot of businesses practically closed with for rent signs in them. And the few that do remain are struggling to stay in business. So, how would a business like a restaurant or a gym be able to go out here and implement such a policy, and how would they be able to do this safely? Another critical question I have to ask, because the whole thing is, I've seen all across the country, as related to these mask mandates, a lot of low-wage employees winding up in situations where their lives were practically put in jeopardy as they were assaulted. And I remember one case of an individual coming back to one of those places and actually murdering a cashier. So when I look at Bill de Blasio's policy from a critical perspective, it does not really seem like a smart policy, because it puts the onus on the business owner, and that could put the business owner in jeopardy. Now, he also talks about how he's going to go out here and fine businesses, but this could also, again, wind up harming many of these small businesses, because this would wind up taking away money from them. And most of the businesses here in New York City, again, a lot of them are closed, and the few that remain are still struggling. And this could further do more economic damage to many of those struggling small businesses. Moreover, it could also have a ripple effect on travel and tourism, because after this was announced nationally, I heard a lot of people on social media saying that they were going to avoid New York City, and they were not going to think about coming to New York City to go to these Broadway shows or to even go to places in the city like restaurants. So this could have long-term damage to New York City's overall economy, and it could really cost New York in the long term as related to the holiday season, where the city makes a lot of its profits. So when I take a critical examination of this decision to so-called get tough, this may wind up backfiring on your Bill de Blasio, and it may not really get him the results that he thinks he's going to get, because many of the large populations that he's trying to coerce into participating in certain actions, many of those populations are minority, and large populations of black people, again, large voting blocks that he would wind up alienating with these kind of actions that look tough on the surface, but could be construed as racist by many black people and minorities, and could possibly wind up violating several federal laws, such as the Interstate Commerce Law, for one, and the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because to make it where people cannot go into restaurants as related to a certain card could make it where you're violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and wind up participating in the same kind of discrimination that black people had to deal with in the Jim Crow South. And we have this going on right here in the leftist North. And people could easily see your Bill de Blasio being compared to Bull Connor. And this is not a good look for the left, which is still struggling with scandals as related to Andrew Cuomo and sexual harassment, the complete implosion of California under Gavin Newsom's leadership, Minneapolis falling apart as related to the defunding campaign by that mayor, and Lori Lightfoot's complete implosion of Chicago and Gretchen Whitmer's tyrannical rule over 2020. So this, along with these policies, could wind up further alienating many people as related to the left, and seeing that the left is out of control because they see him taking too much power and overreaching as related to power, and wind up alienating most American people, making them realize that there needs to be a check in order to balance out the power of the left and the excesses that they seem to have taken over the last 2 years. And this could have a major impact on not only elections, but also as related to the perception of the left, which many people believe has gone too far. And while many would say that, oh, this is a hardline stance, but this could be going too far, overreaching and alienating many of the American people. And many of the American people, especially here in New York, could have reached their boiling point, because here we have a mayor more focused on who's going to the restaurant. Meanwhile, the city is overrun with crime from gangs and urban terrorists who participate in things like a mass shooting that happened in Queens where 10 people were shot. And it just really doesn't make logical sense for law enforcement to be going to restaurants to deal with cards when there's people shooting each other, and it's practically untenable in places like the subway and completely unsafe. So this could wind up backfiring badly on Bill de Blasio and could further alienate people as related to the left. And when I look at the whole situation from a critical perspective, this could possibly be, along with these other scandals, the thing that sinks the left and sends them out like happened in 1994. Now, this video is not going to be monetized, so if you could donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App, it would be greatly appreciated. Or if you could pick up one of my books on Amazon.com, it would also be greatly appreciated. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores